Takes place on indigenous lands across Turtle Island on the continent known as North America, including the unceded territory of the Mississaugas of the New Credit, the Wendat, and Haudenosaunee people. We do more than honor the First Nations. We join in the fight for justice, recognizing that there can be no real reconciliation without restitution. That entails seizing the assets of the big resources corporations and returning them to the commons. As you all know, my name is Elizabeth. I'm a retired member of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers, and most importantly, I'm the treasurer of Socialist Action. Ooh. And I know where you all live. Okay, Socialist Action in Canada was founded 28 years ago. SA is committed to grassroots democracy and the United Front in Action. I hope you guys all enjoyed the party. And now I'm going to call upon the Federal Secretary of Socialist Action, Barry Weisleder, to recount some of the activities of the party over the past year with a view towards our plans for the years ahead. And after Barry speaks, we will bring on Daniel to tell you exactly what we're, or mostly what we're going to be doing in the coming year. And in the meantime, after that, eat, drink, and be merry, and visit delivers your table. Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, comrades and friends. Isn't it great to be meeting again in this building after nearly 3 years? Woo! Socialist Action is a growing revolutionary workers' party that puts a great emphasis on political education. At the same time, SA is an activist organization. It has many practical accomplishments to its credit, including achievements in local elections, in building a fighting left wing inside mass working class organizations, and in promoting international solidarity. From Iran to Haiti, from Britain to Ontario, 2022 has been a year of revolt against austerity, authoritarianism, and repression. Recent weeks have not been very good for Doug Ford and his Ontario Conservative government.
John, can you get John open the door, please? Thank you.
And the threat of a general strike, Ford rescinded anti-labor Bill 28. And just days ago, the Ontario Superior Court ruled that Ford's 4-year, 1% wage cap, Bill 124, is unconstitutional and void.
Woo!
Of course, the Tories are appealing the decision to drag this process out further instead of paying the $8 billion that they're going to have to pay. Given other wretched laws in the works, like Bill 23, which destroys local democracy and farmland, and Bill 7, which forces seniors into inferior, deadly long-term care, the lesson for labor and the oppressed is that this government will persist until it is removed. Isn't it about time to remove this government with a general strike?
Yeah. Yes!
And if CUPE education workers vote no to the deal that CUPE Ontario leaders say is inadequate, the removal of Ford and Company may occur sooner than later. In the meantime, with hospitals at the breaking point, food banks unable to cope, the houseless more desperate than ever, and on the eve of a harsh recession induced to curb hyperinflation, guess what the Royal Bank is doing? Well, the Royal Bank, led by CEO and climate criminal Dave McKay, is spending $13.5 billion cash to buy the HSBC Bank. And by the way, the Toronto Dominion Bank is buying First Horizon, a significant American bank, and BMO bought out Bank of the West, another American financial institution. So the RBC move is the largest domestic banking deal in this country ever. Now you know what the RBC was doing while the rest of us hunkered down to survive COVID and to pay our bills. Is there a better argument than this for nationalization of the big banks under workers' control?
No.
Well, Socialist Action has not bought any banks, but we have been rather busy otherwise. And the following is a chronology of some of the activities of Socialist Action, primarily in the Toronto region over the past 12 months. In January 2022, SA resumed its efforts to plan a big May Day celebration, launched its annual fund appeal, reconvened several internal committees, including its editorial team and its design group, and pushed the city election campaign forward. At the February 4th to 6th Ontario NDP convention, we fought for socialist policies and ran several candidates for Ontario NDP executive, and they received a significant vote. On March the 5th, SA participated in a rally against the far right held at Christie Park. On March the 6th, SA joined an action for peace in Ukraine, starting at Oisy U of T, demanding Canada out of NATO. On March the 8th, SA hosted a webcast to celebrate International Women's Day. On March the 12th, it was a day of action for a green transition, and we joined the rally outside Chrystia Freeland's office. March the 19th, OPSU Region 5 held elections at the Sheraton Center, and Julius was re-elected to the OPSU Executive Board. On March the 20th, we marched for migrant workers' rights and against racism, starting at City Hall. On March 24th, an SA webcast celebrated the life of Robbie Mahood, one of our founding members, passed away last December. March the 29th was an SA pub night at the Poor Boy, that's P-O-U-R, on Manning Avenue. On April the 2nd, we marked Land Day for Palestine at Dundas Square. April 6th to 9th, OPSU held its convention at the Metro Convention Center, and we have some more achievements there. Mm-hmm. April the 7th, at 11 a.m., Wet'suwet'en protest occurred at RBC at Wellington Street. At 7 p.m. that same day, there was an SA webcast, Is COVID Really Over? April 13th, Acorn Disability Rights Day saw a rally at 111 Wellington Street East. April 21st, SA webcast featured new fighter jets, NATO, and the war in Ukraine. April 24th, Municipal Socialist Alliance met in the first of a series of Zoom conventions to expand its policy platform. On Sunday, May the 1st, guess what? SA gathered with hundreds at City Hall to celebrate International Workers' Day. Elizabeth co-chaired the rally, Daniel spoke for SA, the new OPSU president and other parties addressed the crowd. And then everyone marched to Queen's Park for the first May Day event hosted by the Ontario Federation of Labour in decades. Mm-hmm. Stop the war in Ukraine was the theme of a rally at Spadina and Bloor shortly thereafter, where SA called on Ottawa and NATO to negotiate, don't escalate. SA joined the rally for climate justice at Queen's Park on May the 14th, and the Nakba 74 Palestine protest at Dundas Square on May the 15th. The first of several SA and MSA picnics at Christie Park took place on May the 29th. The SA Spring Education Conference convened on June the 4th, followed by the SA Convention a week later, June the 12th. The latter is where members vote on our party's policies and its leadership. Peel SA members joined a June 9th protest in Brampton to demand that wages owed to migrant workers be paid. The Latin American community celebrated the birthdays of Simón Bolívar and Hugo Chavez, July 23rd at Trinity Bellwoods Park, and Julius spoke for our party. On July 29th, SA joined a protest at King and Bay against banks that fund massively destructive fossil fuels. On August the 1st, we blocked the intersection of Bloor and Bedford to protest low ODSP rates. At the opening of the Canadian National Exhibition, August 19th, SA picketed with safety inspectors on strike, members of OPSU 546. Several MSA candidates registered that day at City Hall to run in the elections. Mm-hmm. The annual SA Summer Social took place on September 3rd at the Bain Co-op Community Center. SA, WAM, and the Socialist Caucus marched in the annual Toronto Labor Day Parade, September 5th, with 25,000 members of various unions. A new series of SA webcasts began on September 22nd with Capitalism and the Environment on the eve of COP27. The next day we joined the global climate strike at Queen's Park, where the SA canopy attracted many folks. On October the 7th, SA supported a protest organized by students against sexual assault at the University of Toronto. MSA did a mass leafleting outside Broadview Station to demand free public transit on October the 11th. On October the 16th, we rallied to demand status for all migrant workers. On October 21st, Tamara Lawrence and I disrupted a forum with Defense Minister Anita Anand at MTU.
It made international headlines.
It made international headlines. not just Al Jazeera. And this was followed by an anti-war rally on October 23rd at Spadina and Bloor, a Climate Injustice Award to RBC on October 27th, and a rally at the U.S. Consulate on October 30th to demand an end to the U.S. embargo of Cuba. A rising wave of solidarity with CUPE Ontario education workers began on November 4th, 5th, and 7th, followed by the defiance of Thug Ford's Bill 28. Ford was forced to rescind the anti-labor law, which incorporated the use of the notwithstanding clause to override the Charter of Rights. But employees returned to work without a good settlement on wages and staffing. Will they vote no and revive the struggle to dump Thug Ford? Stay tuned. In October, MSA candidates received nearly 15,000 votes across Ontario. 3 of them placed second in the races that they conducted. If you're an MSA candidate, please raise your hand.
Woo!
There's at least 3 of them right here, right now. And many of you were involved in the campaign in very important ways, just as important as the candidates. Vote Socialist candidates in Vancouver scored more than 49,000 votes. The MSA has proclaimed a shadow council to continue the fight for a workers' agenda at City Hall. So what's in store for all of us for the year ahead? Well, to be sure, more struggles against capitalist austerity, more battles against imperialist war, more efforts to stop environmental plunder. In fact, we are more determined than ever to overcome the conservative labor leadership and social democratic obstacles to a militant workers' agenda.
Fuck yeah.
Wham plans! Exclamation mark. Thanks, Mark. Exclamation mark, you see. Even I didn't get the joke. Okay, Wham plans to build chapters in many more unions and to run candidates for the top positions in the Canadian Labour Congress at its convention in Montreal in May. At the next federal NDP convention, which will be held in October in Hamilton, we will be there to fight for socialist policies and to hold the leadership accountable for its undemocratic practices. Remember British Columbia and Anjali Appadurai? Shameful.
Shame.
And we now are electing a leader in the Ontario NDP in a race of one. You know, that turtle's not going to be overtaken by any hair. But whatever we decide to do, it's clear. One thing is really crystal clear. No one can do everything that needs to be done. No one can be everywhere to advance the struggle for social justice in a world that is choking on pollution, war, and economic misery. And we also know this. Together in Socialist Action, we can have an impact. We can make a difference collectively. Together, we can have a greater effect than any one individual can have. And in the process, we resolve to build the Revolutionary Workers' Party, which is indispensable to leading the working class to victory, to make a better world, a world truly fit for humanity. What better New Year's resolution can there be than that?
Yeah.
All right.